Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. John Sherk, and we are here Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock Central Time, and that means it's time for Brown Bag Lunch, where I give you anything I can get you to help you recruit the talent that you need to have a thriving company. Special focus is on air conditioning companies, but other folks welcome also. Today, I want to talk about your competition for talent. And specifically, I'm talking about let's say you have a technician named Earl, but you don't have him. He works somewhere else, but you'd like to recruit him, right? What is your competition that stands between you and him coming to work for you? Okay. Now, you've heard me say before that the old days are over when the basic social contract that we would undergo in order to form a relationship with a new hire is they need a job and I'm offering a job, and that matchup becomes the basis for our relationship. In today's labor market, it is very unusual to find someone without a job who's looking and is the guy that you want to hire, frankly. Now, you can roll the dice. It's like playing a scratch off ticket. Sometimes you get lucky. But if you want to have a systematic recruiting process, you can't have that assumption anymore, right? So, with that thought in mind, instead of appealing to someone who needs a job, which is a problem to be solved, you need to find a different problem to solve. Okay, we've talked about this in previous videos. You can look it up and whatnot. So, with that assumption laid, who are the competitors that you're competing with to recruit them in? Okay, now there are 5, and please listen carefully to these, because they're not maybe ones you've thought of before, but they are the few that you haven't heard before are very important for you to factor into your recruiting process. Competitor number 1 is doing nothing. In other words, you're competing with that recruit just staying where they are. I would say 80 to 85% of the time, that is your number 1 competition, right? So what do I do with that? Well, you need to be able to isolate what problem they have a conversation with them about it, and then have a conversation about the cost of inaction, right? So if you have this problem, it stays unsolved for another 5 years. Where does that leave you? Okay, that's the conversation where you compete with doing nothing. The second one is what, let's call it internal resources. This is really where that technician is aware of their problem, but they believe they can solve it without coming to work for you. Okay, so, and maybe they think they can do it better. They can solve it without you. So as you can, this is where you want to communicate. How'd that go the last time you tried that? Did it work, or do you still have that problem? Right? Is this really the first time you thought about solving this problem on your own, or will you be better off coming to see us to get it solved? Right? Now, if you say do nothing in internal resources and you forget about everybody else in town, forget about little companies, forget about big companies, just forget about all of that, and you just focus on those 2 things, you will have a very, very fruitful recruiting funnel. Now, if you ignore those 2 and you say my competition are just other companies, you'll have a hit or miss recruiting funnel. Competing with do nothing and competing with internal resources is much more important, and it's much more effective, and frankly, it will help you zig while everybody else zags in the competition for talent. Okay, but now what are the other 3? Number 3 is another small company. My normal audience here is not, executives at Johnson Controls. They're the, family owned, 15, 20 trucks or less or more on the road, family owned service business. And so your competition is another one of those. Okay. So what you need to do is focus on what you're really guaranteeing and why you're different, right? They're not solving, that other company isn't solving their problem, but why will you? If they haven't, why will you be able to do that, right? What makes you separate and different, and what kind of guarantee can you make to that person who would take the risk of leaving company A and going to company B and having them wonder, how do I know this is any different? Okay. Number four, you're competing with the big market people, meaning the publicly traded companies, Johnson, Siemens, uh, Daikin, and the unions as well, right? So if you're going to compete with them, what you're going to need to do is again demonstrate why the problem that they have is more easily solved than working for one of those big companies. The problem you do not, your competition at that point is not why you're overall better than a market leader. The problem there is you may not be, right? There could be 20 different things that they've got and you don't. But if you can solve the problem this technician has and other people like him, then you can have your own recruiting funnel going on just fine and really kind of off the radar of some of these other bigs. And I can tell you, a lot of these other bigs, they're not there for home service. They're really there for a commercial business. They're really there for other reasons. And so, maybe the market leader in your town is one of the larger home service franchises or something like that. But as you're competing for that talent, don't try to set yourself up in your company as across the board better than anybody else. If that's who your competition is, set yourself up as the one who's uniquely positioned to solve their specific problem. Okay. And then your fifth competition, your number 5 competition, is what we're going to just call other. Okay. So this means they're going to solve their problem in a completely other way. Maybe they're thinking of leaving the industry completely. Maybe they want to go start their own business. Maybe they've got some other path in mind other than working for you as a technician or working for anybody as a technician. And so here again, it's talking through when's the last time they used other as a strategy to solve a problem. And if they really didn't, do it before, or if they're thinking, yeah, but I just want to get out there and start my own thing, is there a way for you to give them a taste of that in coming to work for you without them actually going out and doing the work to become your competition in the market? Okay. 5 kinds of competition: doing nothing, internal resources, a smaller company like yours, a market leader, and other. So if again, if this was a pie chart, 90% of that pie chart is do nothing in internal resources. So as you position yourself, your conversations with people you're recruiting, as you talk about doing nothing, as you compete with doing nothing and competing with internal resources, the more you intentionally go to that space and compete there, the more effective your pipeline is going to be. All right. Then the more you think of your competition as another company, the less effective and more spotty and more hit and miss your pipeline is going to be. Okay. There you go. My name is Dr. John Sherk. This is Brown Bag Lunch. If you want to talk about this some more, if you want to set a time with me to chat, by all means, let's get 15 minutes on the phone and let's get to know each other a little bit. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week.